She was betrayed, but God redeemed her. The story of Joseph. Clara never saw it coming. Betrayal rarely sends an invitation. It just shows up one ordinary afternoon wearing the face of someone you trust. A transfer she didn't approve. A client list she recognized, but under a new logo. His logo. At first, she thought it was a mistake. People make mistakes. Partners misunderstand each other. Friends miscommunicate. But within hours, the truth unfolded like a storm breaking glass. Her business, the one she'd built, with sleepless nights and borrowed faith, was gone. The accounts were emptied. The clients had been promised the same service at a lower price. And the man she had trusted most sent a message through an attorney, not through a phone call. In the silence that followed, she could hear her own heartbeat. Fast. Unbelieving. Then came the nausea, the kind that tells you your life just split into before and after. Part 1: The Fall and the Silence. She didn't tell anyone for days. Shame does that, it convinces you to hide wounds that weren't your fault. She still showed up to church. Smiled when someone asked how work was going. Busy, she said. Which was true. Grief is a full-time job. At night, she replayed every conversation, every meeting. The late nights when he said, "We're a team, Clara." The prayers they prayed before signing contracts. The moments that looked like partnership but, in hindsight, were positioning. There are betrayals that And there are betrayals that unwind you quietly, one spreadsheet, one signature, one smile at a time. Clara had been faithful. She kept her word when it cost her money. She carried other people's dreams as if they were her own. And now, she was the one left with debt, rumors, and a name people whispered with pity. One evening, she walked back into the empty office. The desks were gone. The walls were bare. Only the smell of dust and coffee grounds lingered, the ghosts of long nights that had once meant something. She sat on the floor and whispered, "God, I did this the right way. I prayed before every decision. So why does it feel like you turned away?" The ceiling said nothing. The walls offered no answers. But in the stillness, a verse she hadn't read in years drifted into her mind. And they threw Joseph into a pit. She almost laughed. Because that's exactly what it felt like, being thrown somewhere dark by the very hands that once clapped for you. The story of Joseph. Joseph. She hadn't thought of him in years. But now, his story came back like a mirror she didn't want to look into. He had brothers, not business partners. But betrayal has the same eyes no matter who wears it. Jealousy. Control. Fear. They saw him coming and said, "Let's get rid of him." And they did. He was stripped of his coat, the symbol of his father's love, and left in a pit with nothing but questions. Why me? What did I do wrong? Where is God? And yet, the Bible says something small, almost hidden, but eternal. The Lord was with Joseph. The Lord was with him. In the pit. Not after it. Not instead of it. In it, Clara wrote those words on a sticky note and stuck it to her bathroom mirror. The Lord was with Joseph. She didn't feel it, but she needed to see it. Every morning, every night. The waiting. Weeks turned into months. The lawyer calls slowed down. The gossip cooled. But inside, she was still stuck in that pit, the place between what was taken and what will be restored. Friends told her to move on, to start over, to forgive and forget. But the human heart is not a file you can delete. It's a room with memories that echo. One Sunday, sitting in church, Clara heard the pastor say, "God never wastes the waiting." She wanted to believe that. But waiting felt like punishment, not purpose. The silence was too loud. So she did what she knew how to do. She worked. She took small freelance jobs, projects other people turned down. She rebuilt her reputation brick by honest brick. And even in the exhaustion, she prayed, "God, if you still see me, teach me what this is for." There was no vision, no sign, just work. Quiet, unseen work. But something was happening that she couldn't measure yet. She was learning the kind of faith that doesn't need applause. The kind that doesn't crumble when it isn't rewarded. The kind Joseph learned in prison. Joseph in prison. The story says that after the pit came a prison. He was accused of something he didn't do, and punished for the very integrity that defined him. And still, the Lord was with Joseph and gave him favor. In that cell, Joseph served. He helped other prisoners. He interpreted their dreams even as his own dream looked dead. He kept doing good, not because it was working, but because God was still worthy. Clara began to understand that. She started mentoring young women who were just starting out, women who had no resources, no networks, just hope. She helped them write proposals. She taught them how to keep their word even when no one was watching. And for the first time in months, she didn't feel like a failure. She felt like someone being shaped for something she couldn't yet name. She wrote in her journal one night, "I thought betrayal ended my story. Maybe it just redirected it." And somewhere in heaven, maybe Joseph nodded, because he knew that feeling too. The pit wasn't the end. The prison wasn't either. They were both classrooms. And in those classrooms, God was teaching him the same lesson he was now teaching her. What they meant for evil, I am quietly turning for good. The story of Joseph found her again, not as a sermon, but as a whisper. 2 years later, the office smelled of coffee and lemon cleaner again. But this time, it wasn't empty. It was hers. New name. New clients. New peace. Clara had built something different this time. No partners. No shortcuts. No need to prove herself. Just quiet excellence that spoke louder than explanations ever could. People noticed. Contracts returned. Her name, the one once whispered with pity, began to carry weight again. And just when she thought the story had settled into a quiet rhythm, an email arrived. The name and the sender line stopped her cold. Her former partner, The one who had burned every bridge, and then built an empire out of the ashes. She stared at it for a long time. Half of her wanted to delete it. The other half knew that ignoring it would not erase what it stirred. She clicked. He wrote, "I know I don't deserve to ask for your time, but I need help. The company's failing. Investors are gone. I thought I could do it without you. I was wrong." Her hands trembled. For months, she had dreamed of this moment, the reversal, the vindication. The one where justice finally balanced the scales. But when it came, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like a test. Because it always is. Joseph and his brothers. That night, she sat by the window with the city lights flickering below. The story of Joseph found her again not as a sermon, but as a whisper. He, too, had faced his betrayers. Years after the pit, years after the prison. When famine drove his brothers to Egypt, they stood before him desperate, hungry, unrecognizing. He studied them in silence. Years of pain and mercy colliding in one breath. Then he wept. He could have crushed them with a word. He had every right to. But the man who had been sold for silver now had the power to command gold. The boy who had been stripped of his robe now wore the garments of royalty. And yet, his heart was soft enough to say, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." That line caught in Clara's throat. Because maybe that's what all of this was about, not revenge, but revelation. Not repayment, but release. The meeting. She replied to the email. Not with pride. Not with pity. But with peace. "I'll meet with you. Let's talk." When they sat across from each other in a small cafe downtown, he looked smaller somehow. Not physically, but in spirit. Failure has a way of humbling even the loudest hearts. He began to speak about money lost, people leaving, nights awake with regret. She listened. Not as a victim revisiting her wound, but as a woman who had walked through fire and come out refined. When he finally said, "I'm sorry," she didn't need to hear it twice. She said, quietly, "I forgive you. Not because you earned it, but because I refuse to carry what God already healed." The air between them softened. Something sacred passed through the silence, not reconciliation in the old sense, but redemption in the truest one. The freedom. That evening, she drove home and sat in her car for a long time before going inside. Not crying. Not shaking. Just still. Like the end of a storm when the earth exhales. She realized she was free, not because justice had been served, but because grace had been chosen. And somewhere far beyond what she could see, God was still doing what he had always done, turning ashes into altars. Joseph's ending. Joseph's story didn't end in the throne room. It ended in forgiveness. He said to his brothers, "Do not be afraid, I will provide for you and your little ones." And the Bible says, he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. That is the mark of a person who has met God in the waiting, not just restored, but transformed. Clara's ending. Clara understood now. The betrayal hadn't ruined her, it had revealed her. It showed her what faith looks like when success is gone. What forgiveness sounds like when pride is silent. What redemption feels like when you stop trying to write your own ending. Months later, she walked into her new office and found a letter on her desk. No name. No sender. Just a verse written in neat handwriting. The Lord was with Joseph, and he made him prosper in whatever he did. She smiled. Because that was true, for Joseph, for her, for anyone who chooses grace over revenge. She turned the card over and wrote beneath it, "And the Lord was with me, too." Then she taped it inside her journal and whispered a prayer. God, thank you for being the kind of redeemer who doesn't just restore what's lost, you make it worth losing. Joseph's story, and Clara's, are proof of the same truth. God's plan is never at the mercy of someone else's betrayal. People can lie, steal, slander, or walk away, but they cannot cancel the purpose He has already written. Sometimes He allows the pit so you'll learn to pray in the dark. Sometimes He allows the prison so your character can carry the promotion. And sometimes He allows betrayal, so that when restoration comes, you'll know it wasn't luck. It was Him. So if you're standing in a season of loss, if your trust has been broken and your name misused, if you're wondering whether God still sees, He does. And He's not finished yet. The story doesn't end in the pit. It doesn't end in the prison. It ends in the palace, not because you demanded it, but because grace carried you there. Comment below. God still writes redemption. Because what they meant for evil, God can still mean for good. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Mustard Seed Stories, where every week, we share real stories of pain, healing, and grace.